Hello, guys. Welcome to our last constructive question for now on material mix and yield variance. So we're going to look at safe soap co for today. It reads, hope you have good practice with the two questions we solved already on material mix and yield variance. Okay. Now, these questions ask us to calculate the total material mix variance and the total material yield variance for September. That's our requirement. Let's read the question. The Safe Soap Co. makes environmentally friendly soap using 3 basic ingredients. So they are using 3 basic ingredients. The standard cost card for one batch of soap for the month of September was as follows. So we have our standard cost card. So these are our standard information, right? These are our standard information. We have lime, coconut oil, and shea butter. These are our standard cost card. The budget for production and sales in September was 120,000 batches. That's our budget. Our actual production and sales were 136,000 batches. So don't forget, we need this actual production. We are not calculating sales variance. That will be our next variance. We'll be planning sales mix and sales quantity variance. So because we are not calculating sales variance, we don't need the budgeted production and to compare with the actual production. We are not doing that here. We are doing the material mix and yield variance. Okay. So for this question, we need the actual production, which is 136,000. It's very important. We need that figure. The actual ingredients used were as follows. Have our actual figures. I told you our actual figures will always be given to you. Okay. Now, I'm faced with this question. I have to calculate my material mix variance and my material yield variance. I'll calculate individually per ingredient and total material mix variance, okay? Using the formula. So let's take the formula. Material mix variance. My formula, I said, is standard quantity at actual mix minus actual quantity at actual mix multiplied by standard price. This is my formula for material mix variance. Standard quantity at actual mix minus actual quantity at actual mix. We are comparing the standard to actual. The answer we got, which is the difference in variance in kg multiplied by standard price, gives us the variance in value. Okay. Now, we cannot solve this type of variance with just this formula as it is. It will be a tough time for us. So to avoid that, let's set a table. Okay, we have rows and columns. So my table, I'll have my product, or in this question, my ingredients. Okay, my ingredients, I have lime, I have coconut, I have shea butter. These are my ingredients, 3 ingredients. Okay, now I have my standard quantity at actual mix. And I have here my actual quantity at actual mix. And I have my difference. My difference is going to give me my variance in kg. That's the difference between the standard quantity actual mix and actual quantity actual mix. That difference will give me the variance in kg. Okay. And I'll bring my standard price and I have my variance in dollar term. Okay. So this is my table. I have my rows, I have my columns. This is my table. Now, how to start? Now we have the formula in front of us. We set the table ourselves. Now let's go to the question. How do I start this question now? Okay. Since I'm already given my actual figures, I will always start with my actual figures. One, the actual figures are already given to you easily. Just grab it and put it in the formula. Secondly, the formula on the standard quantity, I need my actual result. On the actual quantity, I also need my actual results. So I just start with my actual results. For the actual, I have 34,080 for lime, 34,080. And for coconut oil, I have 83,232. And for butter, I have 64,200. 64,200. This is my first step. Remember what I taught you? My second step, the total for the actual quantity at actual mix should be the total for the standard quantity at actual mix. That's my second step. So I will total this one. And that should be the same total for this one. So what's my total? Let me add 34 and 80 plus 83, 232 plus 64, 200. My total is 181,512. So that will be the same 181,512. So my total for the actual quantity at actual mix should be the same total for the actual quantity at standard quantity at actual mix. That's my second step. My third step, what is their ratio? How much of lime do we need? How much of coconut oil do we need? How much of butter do we need? The ratio. The ratio we get from the standard result. We are told that 0.25 of lime, 0.6 of coconut oil, and 0.5 of butter. So if I total this, it will give me 1.35 in total. That is their ratio. So for lime, what's my standard quantity for lime? My standard quantity for lime will be 0.25 divided by total 1.35. That's my standard quantity for lime. Multiplied by standard quantity at actual mix. Multiplied by total actual, which is 181,512. Okay, what does it give me? This will give me how much? 33613. This will give me 33613. That will give me for my line, which is 33613. That's my line. Okay. Now I need for coconut. For coconut, let me do coconut here. Coconut is C. My coconut is I need 0.6 upon total 1.35 multiplied by 181,512. My coconut will be 8672. And for shea butter, I need 0.5 upon 1.35 multiplied by 181,512. And this will give me 67227. I'm a little bit faster today because we've already solved 2 questions on mix and yield. So you already have the understanding. This is the last question so far for mix and yield. Okay. So 8672. I have here 8672. And I have here 67227. So let me find the difference now. For the difference now is standard quantity at actual mix, actual quantity at actual mix. The difference between them is 33613 minus 34080. This will give me 467. This is an adverse variance because our actual is greater than our standard, right? Adverse variance. More of expensive material was bought and less of expensive material was bought. So the difference is adverse variance. So what's my standard price? I have my price to be 10. Look at the prices here. kg, 10, 4, and 3. So I have my price to be 10, 4, 3. Okay. So these at 10, what do we have? 4670. Okay. And for the next one, 8672 minus 83232. This will give me 2560 adverse variance at 4, 10, 2, 40 adverse variance, and this also adverse variance. And the last one, 67227 64200. This will give me 3027. This is going to be a favorable variance. This is a favorable variance because our standard was 67, our actual was 64. So the actual is less than the standard. Favorable variance of 3027 at how much? Standard price of 3. This gives me 9081. Favorable. So these are our variances per ingredient, but we are asked to calculate the total material mix variance. So the total material mix variance, we add all of these variances. Okay, 4670 plus 10240 minus 9081. Total 5829 adverse. Our total variance, total mix variance is this one. So this answer the first one, total mix variance. So this gives us 4 marks. Okay. Let's do the second one, yield variance. With that understanding, now we'll move to material yield variance. Material yield variance. Our formula, standard quantity at standard mix. Standard quantity at standard mix minus standard quantity at actual mix multiplied by standard price. These are formula. Standard quantity at standard mix minus standard quantity at actual mix multiplied by standard price. This is our formula. Haven't got the formula, we'll start the same table. We notice I told you there is a formula keep repeating. There is a particular, this one keep repeating, right? It's also in the material mix variance formula. So when you are doing the question, just copy everything. It's the same thing. Okay? So I'm going to do it again. It's the same thing. Just copy everything. The standard quantity at actual mix is the same. And formula keep repeating itself. So like the mix variance, you already have one, the actual result. Same to the yield variance, you already have one, the standard quantity at actual mix, you calculate already. Okay, now we move on. Let's set our formula table. Now we have the formula. I'll bring in my ingredients. My ingredients are lime, coconut, and shea butter. And I'll bring my standard quantity at standard mix. Okay, my standard quantity at actual mix. I have my difference with my variance in kg, and I have my standard price, dollar term, and my variance in value. So this is my table. What I should start with? I will start with what I already have, what I've already calculated from the mixed variance. If we are not given before, then we calculate newly, same way, the same way. But because we have it already, we just bring the figures. The figures I have 33613 for the first one, and 80672 for the second one, and 67227. These are my standard quantity at actual mix. For yield variance, I don't need to do total. I don't need to do it. I don't need, because I'm not using the total. I don't need to do it. So my next, this is the first step, bringing the same figures. Okay. What's my second step? My second step now is to calculate my standard quantity at standard mix. Come to my standard results. My standard quantity are these figures. If I total all of these, will give me 1.35 as we did. Okay? So now, take this, divide by this. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. So my standard, because we are already given this standard for the same, so 0.25, 0.6, 0.5, okay? My standard quantity at standard mix will always go with my actual production. Actual production, okay? So for the first one, for lime, I will 0.25 at 136, that's an actual production. For this one, 0.6 times 136,000. And for the last one, 0.5 times 136,000. These are my standard quantity at standard mix. Standard quantity at standard mix. So what's my figure here? 0.25 at 136,000. This will give me 34,000. So for the first one, I have 34,000. Do 1 minus 33,613. So my difference here, I have 387. I would advise you pause the video and you complete everything and continue the video to reconcile your answers. This is the last example. Okay. My standard price, 1043. I have here 10. So at 10, this will give me 3870. Which variance is this? Favorable variance, because my standard quantity at standard mix is greater than my standard quantity at actual mix. So my variance is favorable. Do the next one. The next one, I have 0.6 multiplied by 136,000. This gives me 81,600. So my standard quantity at standard mix, 81,600. Okay. Minus 8672. This gives me 928 at my standard price 4. This at 4 gives me 3712. Favorable variance. Okay. And the last one gives me 0.5 at 136,000. This is 68,000. 68,000 minus 67,227. This will give me 773 at 3. This is 2319. Which variance is this? This is going to be an adverse 68, 67, favorable variance. Again, it's going to be a favorable variance. Favorable variance. Okay? So all our yield variances are favorable variance. So we just add everything together. Plus 3712 plus 3870. This will give me 9,901 favorable. This is my total yield variance. I hope we got the concept of mix and yield variance now. Okay, I will leave you now. My next variance now will be sales mix, and quantity. We don't have sales yield, sales mix, and quantity variance. Will be our next class next week. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.